Hi and welcome back. It's been a while since I've done a video, but here we are again. And this video is, like most of my videos, slightly strange. It's about arriving at the end of a journey. It's a journey that I didn't actually know that I was on. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you'll see quite a lot of videos there about gear, different cameras I've had, different lenses I've tried. Some I've kept, some I haven't, most I haven't. And I didn't realise quite why I was doing it all. But about a week ago, I got a new arrival through the post, and I finally realised that I'd been on a journey. I've been on a journey for a very, very long time. And that journey is to get to a place where I am totally happy with the gear that I've got, with my camera, with my lenses, with the way the whole thing works at weddings. And it's taken a very long time to get here, but I think I'm there. So what I wanted to do today, I'm quite excited about it actually, once I realised. Let me tell you what gear I've got, why I've got it, why it works for me. Now, bear in mind, I'm a wedding photographer. I photograph do a few family shoots, and some boudoir. Anything other than that is pretty much sort of by the by. I do some personal work. I've got a website where I occasionally sell a print or two, but my main work is wedding, family and boudoir, and predominantly weddings. So if you're a wildlife photographer, if you're thinking that you might learn something here about bird photography or wildlife, sorry guys, that's just not my thing. But if you photograph people, if you do events, then anything like that, you might find this useful. Let me dive in. So the thing that arrived a week ago is this guy. And this is a very familiar thing to me. It's a Nikon D700. That is going to complement the Z6ii and the Z5 that I already have. Let me explain why the D700 seems to have been the if you like, the icing on the cake. It's the final part of the jigsaw. About probably 4 years ago, before COVID anyway, I was already moving away from zoom lenses. I had Nikon at the time, a D750 and a D800 probably. I had, prior to that, used zoom lenses quite a lot. The normal sort of three lenses, 18 to 35, 24 to 70, 70 to 200. But I wasn't completely happy with the images that I was getting, and then I started to look more at zoom lenses, prime lenses, sorry. I already had a 51.8, I guess, but then probably got the 85, and started to see how I could work at weddings with prime lenses rather than zoom lenses, because it is a totally different way of working. And then I changed to Sony, and when I changed to Sony, I did have a zoom. It was part of the kit, but I tried not to use it, and I got 35, 50 and 85 lenses, and that's what I use most of the time that I was shooting weddings with the Sony. So when I came back to Nikon, where are we now? It won't be far off 2 years. In a few months' time, it'll be 2 years back with Nikon, and I got the D780, and I'd already kept a D700. I looked to get mainly prime lenses, and the journey since then has been through the 51.8, the 85 1.8, the D lenses, which worked on the D780, and then I moved to the Z5. So the D lenses didn't work, so we then had to go to G lenses to work on the FTZ adapter. As you can see, I've done lots of experimenting, lots of changes, and I've now finally arrived at where I want to be. So it's the Z6ii. Let me tell you what I shoot a wedding with mainly. Okay, mainly A fairly recent addition is the 35 1.4 G lens. I've wanted one of these for a very long time, and it's a business. I love doing what I do, but I have to kind of, in my head at least, financially justify buying things. And I couldn't justify changing from my 1.8 to a 1.4 G, bearing in mind it's list price. It's still listed on the Nikon website. It's £1,800. I actually paid, I think it was about 12 something for this. It's almost literally as new. And that now gives me the lineup of G lenses that I've wanted for a long time. And the reason I love, and the reason I've got this lineup of G lenses, which is the 35 1.4, the 58 1.4 and the 85 1.4, all G lenses, is the look, the character. These are not modern, sharp, perfect lenses. These are lenses which lean much more towards the days of film, the early days of digital, where, I don't know, it seemed to be more about the character. And these lenses are character lenses, and that is what I do for weddings, mainly. So most of the shots that I do in the day now will be with the Z6ii with the 35 1.4 on. I find the 35 focal length at weddings is usually, for a lot of the shots, and we're talking 65–70% of the shots, 35mm is perfect. There's enough of the location to set the scene, to tell the story for that particular shot. Now, I also use the Z5 as a second camera. I've got two cameras with me all the time, and that's a 24 1.8 S lens. And the difference in look to the images is very noticeable. The 24 S lens is a lot sharper, there's a lot more detail, more texture. It's just a different look. Maybe you love that. I love the more old arty character type look, hence I try and use the G lenses when I can. But those two guys are the two cameras and the two lenses that I use for most of the wedding. However, there are times when 35 is a little bit too short. Maybe I'm at the ceremony and it's a big hall. They've got the table in the way, and I really can't get quite close enough with the 35. Then I would use a 58. And later on in the day, when I'm just wandering around doing candid shots of people, or maybe doing portraits, then the 85 lens will also come into play as well. So all three will get used at some point during the day. Mainly on the Z6 II. The Z5 tends to sit with the 24mm lens on for the entire day, because there's always a time when you turn around and there's something to shoot, and the 24 just captures the whole thing. If I have to do a bit of cropping because it should really have been shot on the 35 and I had the 85 on the Z6 II or something like that, I'll end up at least with a shot. However, I have also started to transition across so that for some things I can use more modern look lenses. So I do also have the 35 1.8 Z mount lens. I've got the 50 1.8 S lens, and that, I have to tell you, that is a gorgeous, gorgeous lens. If you like sharp, modern looking, beautiful photos, you will not go wrong if you get the 50 1.8 S. It's gorgeous, it really is. I've also got, I just showed you the wrong one. That was actually the 24-70 f4 zoom lens, which I've also got. So I've got some prime lenses and one zoom lens for the Z mount, and those lenses, as I say, sorry, I didn't mention my very old 18 to 35, what is it, 2.8 to 3.5 or f4, something like that, zoom lens. It's yonks old. Goodness knows how long I've had this. It will not work on the FTC adapter. Well, it will, but it's manual focus. Which now brings me along to the D700. Why have I got that? This is actually the third, I think, D700 I had. I had a D700 for many years when I first started. It was either my backup camera, or when I first started weddings, it was my main camera for a year, 18 months. Then it became my backup. And it's not until you've moved away from something and you can look back at some of the photos and think, those shots there, by the way, are taken with the D700 last week. You look back at the images and think there was something really special about that. Those photos are just gorgeous. But it's not until you've been there and then gone past it that you can look back and say, maybe I ought to have a D700. So I decided to get another D700 because combined with the G lenses, it gives the absolute best photos you can possibly imagine. And don't think, oh, it's only a 12 megapixel camera that's 2009 it came out in. It can't be any good. That is just so not the case. 12 megapixels on this. I have a print somewhere. It's in the tube. Anyway, it's something I did for an exhibition back in the days when I was using the D700, and this is about, it's probably not quite, but it's nearly 2 meters by about 1.4. It's huge, and it works. From a 12 megapixel camera, I printed that, providing you don't go up with your glasses and sort of a foot away from it and look at it. Then you're going to see that there's some grain and some, it's not pixelated exactly, but it's certainly not particularly sharp at that. But view it at the correct distance, 3, 4, 5 feet away, and it looks absolutely amazing. And the other thing I love about the D700 is its simplicity. With the Z cameras, I'd like them, and at weddings they are brilliant because they're fast, they're efficient, they're flexible. You can tune them to be exactly what you want, so that you program the buttons to work exactly how you want. And that is great from the point of view of getting the shot. The Z cameras are considerably better than the D700. As far as the final image quality goes, the D700 beats the Z cameras from my point of view. As for character, remember, that's what I'm looking for. I do love the photos from the Z cameras. There's nothing wrong with them, but I just find there's some sort of magic or something about the D700 images. I'm not technical enough to be able to tell you what it is. Someone said that in fact Nikon, when they made this back in 2009, they were trying to get the last of the sort of Nikon film professional photographers to come across to digital. And they did something to the, not to the sensor, but to the processor, that gave a more film-like look to the images. Whether that's true or not, I've got no idea. But it certainly appears to me that that could be the case. The D700 is just lovely to use. It is so simple. My wife knows nothing about photography. I could teach her to use this in about 5 minutes. It is so simple. I could shoot, if I had to, if I lost the Z cameras, I could shoot an entire wedding with this. And probably, other than maybe doing that or that, that would be the only thing I would need to change during the wedding, for an entire wedding. Put those back. You don't need to go into the menus, you don't need to play around with anything, it just does the job. Now the AF, okay, it's not up to modern sort of standards, it can't shoot in sort of semi-darkness, can't focus in semi-darkness, it can actually shoot in semi-darkness. It's, for an old camera like this, at high ISOs, yes you do get noise, but there's something about the noise, it's actually quite nice. It just looks like grain on a film. It's yeah, it's quite acceptable. So that's where I am now, and I think I'm at the end of the journey. I can't see why I would need to change any of this. I've got all the lenses I want, I've now got the cameras that go with the lenses, which work with the way I shoot a wedding, and a few of the other things I do. So if you found that useful, great. If you've got any questions, drop them in the comments. If you want to go back and see some of my old videos or some of the new ones I'll be doing in future, obviously subscribe, and thank you very much for watching. Hope you found it useful.